Welcome to Campfire Stories.
Welcome back to the fire, friends. Tonight's Ottawa Valley legend runs right through the heart of the nation's capital, though most who stroll beside it on a summer evening never guess what it cost. It is the Rideau Canal, that lovely ribbon of water through Ottawa. It is a world wonder now, a place of skaters and canoes. But it was dug by hand in the 1820s by men who died by the hundreds, and some folks say it has never stopped being haunted.
The Rideau Canal, Marty. I have skated on it in my mind 100 times. I never once thought of it as a graveyard. Who built it?
It was the dream of a British officer, Carol, a brilliant engineer named Colonel John By. After the war with the Americans, Britain wanted a safe water route from Montreal to the Great Lakes that did not run along the dangerous border, and Colonel By was sent into the Wild Valley to build it, 125 miles of canal, locks and dams, through some of the roughest bush and blackest swamp in Canada. And to dig it, he brought in thousands of laborers, most of them Irish immigrants fresh off the boats, poor and desperate for work, and French Canadians from the valley. And they dug it, Carol, with picks and shovels and their bare hands.
By hand? 125 miles of canal through swamp by hand. Marty, the labor of that is almost beyond imagining.
What did it do to them?
It killed them, Carol, in great numbers, and mostly not the way you would think. Yes, there were the accidents you would expect, the blasting of the rock, the collapses, the drownings, brutal and sudden. But the real killer, the one that took the most, came whining out of the swamps on tiny wings. Malaria, Carol. Swamp fever, they called it, or the ague. In the hot summers, the workers labored waist-deep in stagnant, mosquito-clouded marshes, and the fever swept through the camps and laid them down by the dozens. Whole work gangs shaking with chills in the heat, dying in their tents. They did not know then that it was the mosquitoes. They only knew the swamps were cursed, and that summer was a season of funerals.
Malaria in Canada? Marty, I would never have believed it. So they died of fever in the swamp, far from Ireland, digging a ditch for an empire that barely noticed. How many?
No one kept a careful count of poor immigrant laborers in those days, Carol, which tells you something in itself. But the best reckoning is that around 1,000 men died building the Rideau Canal. 1,000. And here is the part that haunts me more than any ghost. Most of them were buried where they fell, in unmarked graves along the line of the canal, in the swamps and the bush, with no stone, no record, no name. There are stretches of that beautiful waterway, Carol, especially down at the Kingston end where the fever was worst, that people came to call the cursed places because everyone knew the dead were lying in the ground all around, uncounted and unremembered.
Uncounted and unremembered. Oh, Marty, 1,000 men in unmarked graves under a canal that a whole country enjoys and never thinks of them. That is a real haunting, whether there are ghosts or not.
That is just what I think, Carol. And of course, where that much death soaks into a place, the ghost stories grow like the swamp grass. People who work the old locks at night speak of footsteps on the stone when no one is there, of a lock-keeper's cottage where a figure is sometimes seen at the window, of cold spots and voices and the sense, down at the lonely locks in the bush, of being watched by many eyes. At the Kingston Mills locks especially, there are old tales of drowned men and a haunted lock, and folks who will not linger there after dark. The canal is lovely by day, Carol. It is a different place by night, where the fever took its 1,000.
And Colonel By, Marty? The man who dreamed it. Did he at least get his reward, his glory?
He did not, Carol, and it is its own small tragedy. Colonel By finished the canal, a staggering achievement, and founded the town at its northern end, Bytown, that would grow up to become Ottawa, the capital of the whole country. He gave Canada its capital. And for his trouble, Carol, He was hauled back to England and put before the officials because the canal had cost more than they had budgeted, and he was made to answer for it like a common cheat, his name dragged down, his health broken. He died a few years later, in England, unrewarded and half-disgraced, the man who built the capital, buried far from the great work he had given his life to. There is a ghost story in that too, in a way. A man who was everywhere in Ottawa and honored almost nowhere.
The man who built the Capitol, disgraced for finishing it too well. Marty, the whole story is one injustice on top of another. So what do we do with it, this haunted, beautiful, terrible canal?
We remember Carol. That is all the dead ever ask. The next time you see the Rideau Canal, glittering through the middle of Ottawa, full of light and skaters and summer boats, I want you to remember that it is also the longest gravestone in Canada. 1,000 Irish and French-Canadian labourers lie in the ground along it, nameless, who dug it out of the cursed swamps with their hands and paid with their lives, and gave this country its capital city, and asked for nothing and got less. They deserve at the very least to be thought of. So think of them, friends, gliding along that lovely water. It is beautiful because they are under it. I'm Marty Shepherd.
And I'm Carol, and I will never skate that canal again without a prayer for the 1,000 who lie beneath it. Hold your people close, remember the ones the history books forgot, and come back to the fire.